Hello everyone, Helen here. How are you today? I hope you're okay. Welcome to everybody. If you're new, I'm sitting here in my craft room in Durham in the northeast of England, and I love telling you about the things I've been making and also sometimes some other things that I've been doing, but it's quite a while since I sat here and updated you on my crafts, so that's mostly what it's going to be today. But I mustn't forget, so I'll do that now, to say thank you for the wonderful comments on the podcast before this one, which was all about the Durham Miners' Gala, or the big meeting in Durham. And there were so many really lovely comments from people who had either were learning about the Durham Miners' Gala for the first time, or who had some kind of a connection with mining or maybe even Durham miners. If you don't normally read the comments, I recommend you go and look through them, because it's really, really interesting to find out all the different little connections that people have. Some of you spotted banners that were from a village where you had been, or where your relatives had come from. It's just so interesting. And I actually, when I put that video on YouTube, I wasn't really sure if many people would be interested in watching it, but I'm very glad that lots of you at least were interested in it. And so thank you again for all of those comments. And so, yeah, if you've seen the last 2 weeks podcasts, then it won't seem like I've been away, but in fact I have. I had over 2 weeks of break from sitting at my computer making videos. So I'd made and scheduled the last 2 podcasts to go out on particular dates, because so for the first week, Phil and I were away in the camper van again. We had another trip to Scotland, to a different area that we hadn't explored before. Not quite so far north as the Orkneys, and that was an area called Kilmartin Glen, and I'll really look forward to telling you about it. It was so interesting, and it'll be a while before I make those videos though, because if you've been following the Orkney camper van trips, then you'll know I'm not quite finished that one. I've got 1 or possibly 2 parts to make before that's finished. And then as soon as we got back from that trip, we had a special visitor, my very long-standing friend who lives in Germany, Eva. We've been friends since we were pen friends when we were teenagers, and we've never lost touch with each other, and we've seen each other lots and lots of times and been to each other's weddings, and we've had lots and lots of contact with each other, and but we hadn't actually seen each other. Last time we saw each other was about 6 years ago. So yes, I think the pandemic got in the way, and then we hadn't quite got around to arranging anything until Eva decided to come to stay with us. And we had a great week and did all sorts of things. I'm actually going to tell you about those things another time, because I think otherwise it'll make this week's podcast longer than I want it to be. I still try and aim for about 25 minutes. And I know some of you are quite happy to watch longer podcasts than that, but for me, it just feels just right, about that kind of length. So on to crafts. So I've got 2 finished projects to show you, and 2 ongoing projects that you've seen before, but I'm just going to let you know how I'm getting on with them. And then 2 new projects that I haven't shown you before. And I think I'll start with the 2 that you have seen before, but which are not finished yet. Somebody asked me in the comments actually about this first one, and that is the blanket that I'm making. This beautiful blanket. Now, I haven't worked on it very, very much really since I did a lot of it. Since I started it. Oops, where is it? So it's this one that I'm doing using this. Pebble Haze, is that what it's called? Yes, Pebble Haze prints from Yarn Smiths. This lovely variegated yarn, and I chose this colourway called Seaham. All of the colourways are named after beaches in the UK, and this one is Seaham, which is probably my closest beach to where I live. And I've just been, it feels very joyful to work on this. You can see just the colours there are beautiful, and it's especially lovely if you hold it up to the sunshine, which I think I have done before. I showed you on one of the camper van trips. The sun was streaming through and it looked so lovely. So I call this, although I'm just doing a very simple V stitch, every row is the same. I like the look of it and the feel of it, and yeah, I'm not calling it a V-stitch blanket though. I'm calling it the Seaham Sunshine blanket, and I can't wait for it to be finished. And I'm going to take it to Seaham. Obviously, have to photograph it on Seaham Beach, don't I? And yeah, I can't decide how much bigger to make it. I don't think I need it to be big enough for a single bed, particularly like some of my blankets, but I think it just needs to be a little bit bigger than it is now. And I haven't decided yet whether to do a border on it or not. V-stitch is very, very tidy down the edges, and it doesn't really need a border, except that I love borders, so I'll see. I'll decide what I'm going to do. I could do a very simple little picot border or something like that. Or if you've got any ideas, please suggest away. So let's just put that down. We'll put that down there. Whoops. Okay, so that's that one, and hopefully I will show you soon that it's finished, because I am trying to work on it a bit more. And as the weather gets a bit colder, then it's likely that I'll be quite happy having that on my knee while I crochet. And right, so and then the other project that I have shown you a couple of times before, that's my tapestry of the Christmas stocking. So here it is. And if you're observant, you might, and you've seen it before, you might see that I have changed the way I've got the tapestry rolled around here, because one of you lovely viewers gave me some tips about doing it and said that it might be better to roll it the opposite way to the way I had it, because otherwise you're rubbing up against the stitches that you've done, and I had already noticed that it was starting to peel a bit. So I was really glad of that suggestion. Thank you ever so much if you're watching. And yeah, so you can see I've nearly finished the foot of the stocking, because this is, if you haven't seen it before, it's going to be a Christmas stocking that'll be about this tall. Oh, you can't really see that probably. So I'm still enjoying it as much as ever. I have made a few mistakes lately. I've had to take out quite a bit of it, but it's really tricky. So the bottom is just this row of hearts, and this next section has got lots of little, I think they're probably meant to be little snowflakes in the dark background. And I just keep miscounting. I'll put that down there. And sometimes it doesn't matter, but yeah, I've had to take it out a few times. Anyway, it's not stopping me from enjoying it though, so I really am enjoying it. And I would definitely find it a lot easier to have it on a stand, but I'm not going to buy one yet, because my lovely sister-in-law says that she has one, and she's going to lend me it to see whether I like it before I invest in one. So that'll be really good. But she lives a long way away from me, and it'll be a while before we see her. So for the moment, I'll just have to put up with it, resting on a cushion, and yeah. Anyway, I'm coping fine with it like that. And I'm not expecting to get that finished for this Christmas. I'm not in any rush at all. If it's ready for the next Christmas, that'll be fine. I'm just enjoying going really slow and on that. So that's those two. Then projects that I haven't shown you before. The first one is a new little sheep. Actually, if you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen the little glimpse of this sheep. And you can see here that she is can just about see. When she's this dark colour, she didn't show up so well. Yes, I'm partway through the first leg, and so I hadn't really planned to make another sheep because I already have Lucille, and Lucille uses the pattern Aggie the sheep from Cinthia Vallet's book Mouche and Friends. So I made her, and I think she's lovely, but I hadn't really planned to make another one. But then I saw on Instagram, this is where Instagram tempted me, that Daughter of a Shepherd was selling kits for a brown sheep, and they called her Angharad, and I like that name. So I think she's a Welsh sheep, so she can have a Welsh name, so that's what she's called. I've only very lightly stuffed her head, so you can't really see her proper shape yet. And her nose and mouth, I've done that so many times. I couldn't get it right, and I'm not even sure yet if it looks okay. I think it's partly because I've used light coloured thread on a dark background, and it somehow just doesn't look quite right. But anyway, I might just leave that one because I think this is about my 4th attempt. And doing faces on soft toys is definitely the hardest bit for me, at least. I think lots of people find that as well. So yeah, so I put a tiny little bit of stuffing in her head. That was just to help me get the embroidery on the nose and mouth right. But I'll take that out because she will definitely need a bath. It's quite rustic yarn. I think it's called Ram Jam yarn. It's the yarn that's made out of discarded fleeces that are not used for anything else. And I love the colour. It's going to be lovely to have a brown sheep and a white sheep together. So Lucille is very excited to have a new little friend. So yeah, so there we are, Angharad the sheep. And probably the next time I chat to you about crafting, she'll be finished, I think. And then the other project that I've started since I last chatted to you is in this gorgeous bag. And this is a new to me project bag, which was a gift. And a very kind viewer who lives in America, thank you, Anne, sent me this with lots and lots of other goodies as well, including the most gorgeous skein of yarn. She actually sent me a box full of the Knit Picks palette 4-ply, which is one of my favourite yarns to use for toy making. And because this stopped being on sale in the UK, and it is an American yarn, and she very kindly sent me a lot of Knit Picks palette 4-ply. But there were all these other little gifts in as well, and then this gorgeous yarn here. And so I had a long think about what to use it for. It's sock weight yarn, but I didn't want to make socks out of it. So I decided to make gloves, because I haven't made like proper gloves with fingers in for quite a long time. And so here we are, my progress. So this pattern is called the Juniper gloves, I think. I'll put the name of the designer on the screen. I can never remember the designers. And you can see I've nearly finished the fingers, and then I'll just have the thumb to do, and then this glove will be finished. And the yarn is looking gorgeous. I decided to find a pattern with this cabled pattern on the back of the hand, and I just think it's showing up beautifully. So although there's lots of different colours in this yarn, it's not interfering with the cable pattern here. So they're going to be gorgeous and so autumnal. Now, and I love the way on the fingers you can see more of the stripes, because obviously you've got fewer stitches that you're going round, so the colour changes are more obvious. So I've got lovely stripy fingers. They're going to be so gorgeous. And I love the autumnal colours. Autumn isn't my favourite time of year, actually. It's not my favourite season, although I don't really have a favourite season, because, there's good and bad about all of them. But autumn, I don't think I like the change from having long days of daylight and a reasonable amount of warmth into the, getting dark really early in the evening. Yeah, I don't like that. I'm okay once I've got used to it, but I don't like that change over time. And I suppose seeing all the beautiful colours of the trees is a bit of a consolation, but still, yeah, I find it hard changing from summer to winter. Yeah, so, and of course this bag is just perfect for an autumn make, isn't it? It's gorgeous. I had another lovely one as well, and it comes with a matching notions pouch too. So, oh, thank you so much for that. Oops, put that needle back in. So I don't know. So there we go, the juniper gloves, and okay, so that's all my works in progress. So finished projects. Oh, before I go on to finished projects, I've just remembered that one of you lovely viewers got in touch with me and said, is there any chance you could show me how you wind skeins of yarn? And because, you know, when I do it, I'm always getting in a bit of a muddle with it. And so I've never really thought about doing that because, you know, I just do it really without thinking, and I'm sure lots of you do as well. But so I've made a little video because obviously with these gloves it was a skein of yarn and I had to get the wool binder out, and usually if I get the wool the Swift and wool binder out, I see if I've got anything else lying about that needs winding as well. Usually do more than one if I happen to have more than one. So I've made a little video of just how I wind the yarn, really, how I deal with a skein of yarn. And the video shows this one that I'm using for the gloves and another one that I had, so kind of mixed them up a bit. And I hope it's a bit helpful anyway. I know some of you don't need the help with it, but if it's something that is new to you, then I hope it's helpful. And if it's not at all helpful to you, you know, because you're so experienced, hopefully you'll just enjoy the piano music that I chose to go with the wool winding. Okay then, so now on to my two finished projects. The first one will be very quick to tell you because there's not much to say about it because it's a pair of socks. So here they are, and this is using, you might recognise it, the West Yorkshire Spinners have got a whole range of sock yarns that are meant to be reminiscent of different birds. And I think, have I already used... I've used a couple of them before. I can't remember which ones I've done now. No, in fact, I've done 2 or 3 of them. Anyway, this one is robin. So it just picks out some of the colours in a robin. And I think it's knitted really nicely. I like that effect of a thickish band of colour and then a little speckly bit. A bit like the baby robins as well. And yeah, and I've just done a plain pattern because when there's a gorgeous striping pattern happening, I never bother to put any other pattern into the sock. And so as always, I start from the cuff and work my way down and do the heel flap thing and pick up the stitches and so forth. And I always end up with doing Kitchener stitch at the end. And on these socks, I'm not always troubled about matching the colours. I'm not really too worried about it. Depends who I'm making them for. If I'm making them for my sister, who loves matching things, then I will try and match them. And if I'm not making them for her or somebody else who I know who likes things to match, then I don't worry. But I thought I would try to do it with these anyway. I thought it would look nice. And although it starts off exactly the same, there must be slightly different amounts of colour, of the colour stripes, because by the time I got to the toe, I don't know if you can see there, one of the toes has got a little speckly bit at the end. So I don't know why that happens anyway. So there we go. Those are the robin socks. And then finally onto Snaefrith the sheep and her new outfit. So last time I showed you the sheep, she didn't have any clothes and I hadn't decided even how I was going to dress her. And quite a few of you in the comments gave me some lovely ideas, and I kind of took those ideas. They inspired me a little bit. So even if I'm not doing what you suggested, all of the things that you were suggesting inspired me. So for example, somebody said, how about a kilt? And I thought, that might be nice to have a bit of tartan, but my sewing skills are just very basic, especially when it comes to making clothes, even dolls' clothes. So I thought maybe a kilt is just a step too far at the moment. But I did like the idea of tartan, and so then I was thinking, maybe a tunic would be nice, perhaps a long tunic, because I chose the name Snaefrith because my sheep is from Orkney. It uses yarn that comes from North Ronaldsay, the most northerly island in the Orkney Islands, and I chose the name Snaefrith because she was the mother of one of the Earls of Orkney. And so I thought, I just pictured her in a long tunic. And as it happened, when I've been doing some sorting out recently, I found a pair of old pyjama bottoms that belonged to my son. And I thought, they were just the right colours for the tartan style. So I thought, I could use that. And as you'll see in a moment, they were perfect for the job. And then I thought, right, well, shall I do her a jumper or something? She needs something to keep her warm. If she's from Orkney, then she needs to be protected from the wind. And then I remembered that when we were in the Orkney Museum in Kirkwall, I had seen an absolutely beautiful bit of clothing, which I think was about 2,000 years old, or at least it was a reproduction of one that had been found, that it was about that age. And it was called the Orkney Hood. And I thought, wouldn't it be brilliant if I could make her a hood and a sort of cape? So hopefully I'm showing you a picture of that now. See what this is like. And I decided I didn't have anything in brown that I could use. And this Orkney hood was actually, the archaeologists worked out that it had actually been, whoever had made it had used another item of clothing and turned it into this hood. So it had a previous life. And I thought, wouldn't it be brilliant if I had something that, had been something else and I could just adapt it to be this Orkney hood. So I have a collection of old jumpers that sometimes people give me for another project, but I decided to use one of them. And so I'm going to show you, I've made a video now of how I made Snaefrith's whole outfit, and hopefully you'll enjoy the music that goes with it as well. And then I'll pop back at the end just to say goodbye. So there we go. There is Snaefrith, looking very warm and cosy, and hopefully looking very like an Orkney Earl's mother. I think the yes, I had various problems along the way, as you may have gathered, but overall, I'm really pleased with how that's turned out. I think if I did it again, I would just make this cape a little bit shorter, although it's fine actually. It would keep her nice and warm on a windy island. So, and the hood isn't quite right. I mean, I was just making it up as I went along. And so the hood is a bit funny. I did have to gather it to fit it into the cape at the back, but it's okay, isn't it? And so there we go. So she's extra cosy now to cuddle. Uh, so I think she's angling after a trip to Orkney now, to go to her homeland. So who knows? I don't know when that's going to happen. It's not going to happen anytime very soon. But anyway, so you sit there and let's say goodbye. So yes, I'm going to go now, and until I see you again, keep yourself nice and busy and take good care of yourself. I will be back again very soon. Okay then, bye.